Hey guys, Sundown Rider here. This is gonna be my chapter review to Fairy Tail 545 End. But that's not what it's called. It's called Irreplaceable Friends. But this is the end chapter. This is the last chapter of Fairy Tail. Now, for me, I've been following Fairy Tail for a long time. I don't think the full 11 years, but definitely within the range of maybe 8 to 10 years. I mean, I've been following it for a very long time. So for me, this chapter it was a decent chapter. There were parts of it where I was just like, really, but for the last chapter, I'll just leave it be, because the rest of the manga will speak for itself. The rest of the manga was pretty shit. All right, I gotta be honest. The rest of the manga, at least until the Edelas, I think I'll talk about it when we get through this chapter. I'll talk about the rest of it and what I thought of it and everything like that. But for me, this chapter did have some emotional value to it. It was really fun in that aspect, and for all the shippers out there, we got to see everyone shipped off and everything. So that was pretty good. Let me just adjust my camera, and yes, that was all pretty toasty. It was all pretty good. I just liked seeing it, but yeah, like I say, it was fun to see the last chapter of Fairy Tail. I enjoyed it while it was there. You know, we all bashed it and everything, but I did have fun while it was around. So, you know, I just like to, before we start anything, I'd like to thank Hiro Mashima, and I'd like to thank MangaStream for dealing with all this shit. But it was fun while it lasted, so let's get into it. So first what happens is Lucy wins an award for her novel. I wasn't really interested. I was like, yeah, whatever. Fairy Tail are at the party where all these other novelists and highly respected people are, with Lucy celebrating her novel award and everything. So Fairy Tail are tearing up the joint, and then we find out that Anna has stayed in this time. Yeah, she stayed in this time. She's become a teacher. Natsu and Gajeel seem to have recovered some of their memories about her. Maybe they were told about her, or she told them about herself, and their interactions and everything over the year that's passed. Because this chapter has been released a year in advance of the fight with Acnologia. I'm still pissed that Acnologia, by the way, got one shot. One shot. I mean, that's all it took to get rid of Acnologia. This is what I'm saying, bro. Because this chapter in and of itself was good. This chapter was alright. This chapter was toasty. But everything that led up to this chapter was shit. It was so bad. Alright, so yeah, Natsu and Gajeel seem to remember bits and pieces about Anna. Apparently Natsu had a crush on Anna, and she smells exactly like Lucy, and that's why he's calm around her and all that. So then we get all the ships. Now this is what the majority of the chapter was made up of. So Gajeel and Levy, for the people who shipped Gajeel and Levy, they seem to have banged. They may have had a baby. Wendy blushed upon hearing whatever they said, and Lucy thought she heard something about a baby, so they must have banged, and I reckon Levy's pregnant. Well, you'd hope Levy was the one who was pregnant. Wendy and Lamia Scale are still they're still tight. Wendy and Shaw jump down there every now and then, quite often actually. And then Shiria, I don't know how it's pronounced, Shiria, she seems to have learned basic magic again. This is bullshit. This is the biggest bullshit going, because Shiria gave up her ability to use magic in order to beat Dimaria, you know, like Dimaria, the time-bending goddess thing. So this is bullshit. This is bullshit. But I'm gonna let it slide, because there's no next chapter. There's no point saying that this is gonna what I'm trying to say. There's no point saying that this development is any worse than any of the other developments, because we're not going to get a further development to this. So that was bullshit, but there's nothing that we can do about it. Now there's no point complaining about it. But that whole Shiria developing her magical abilities once again, she gave up that ability to use magic. She shouldn't be able to touch magic ever again. So that's bullshit. I'm calling it out. Kaguya is modeling for like the Sorcerer's Magazine or some shit. And I thought that was kind of against Kaguya's character, really. I mean, she's one of the most serious characters in the whole thing. I mean, she did lighten up a bit once she forgave Urza and all that shit, but she didn't seem like the type to be doing that. I mean, the rest of her mermaid heel, or whatever they're called, yeah, they can model, do whatever you want. I don't give a shit. But Kaguya was always a bit, you know, she was a bit more samurai-esque, you know. She had pride, she had honor, she had integrity, all that type of stuff. So I didn't really see her doing that. We get some cringy Gray and Juvia moments. Gray's like, oh, you know, you're mine. He's blubbering and kind of stuttering, and Juvia's got the hearty eyes and everything. So that was kind of that was fun, I suppose. Wendy once again blushing at whatever they say to each other. We have interactions with Elfman and Evergreen. That was We've known that for a while. And then we get Lucy kind of making conspiracy theories about Laxus. She's heard rumors about Laxus and Mira Jane, about Lysana, about Connor. So maybe he has one of them, maybe he has all of them. Laxus is the biggest boss going, alright? Laxus is just a boss, so he could probably take all of them if he wanted to. So then Lucy's concerned about Urza and Jelal. Crime Sorcier, by the way, they've received pardons for all of their crimes, for the good they did in the war, and for basically just being badass mofos. Even though they got their asses kicked by August very easily, and they did basically nothing. So I take back the badass part, but they were pardoned for helping out. So I think that's a good development. I'm happy that they're pardoned. The whole Jelal being in prison and being on the run thing was starting to become a little bit stale. I think Urza needs to calm down a bit because Urza's pissing me off. She needs to get out of this manga. Actually, no, she needs to stay in this manga. I don't want her to go into another one. So yeah, the whole Urza Jelal thing. Urza, when she heard about the pardon, she started combing out her hair. So basically, she's getting ready to get together with Jelal, which is a good thing. Makarov hasn't come back entirely whole. His legs seem to have weakened. He's wheelchair bound, and he's a drunk alcoholic and everything. But he seems to be cheery, which is good. And then this was the worst part of the chapter for me. A lot of you will probably know where I'm going with this. We got the reincarnations of Mavis and Zeref. It's been 1 year since they died, and they've already reincarnated. Now, this I have a huge issue with, because alright, in the Nanatsu no Taizai we have a lot of reincarnation talk, alright? Now, Elizabeth will always reincarnate when she dies. I'm not sure how quickly she reincarnates, but judging by when Liz died, and then like a few days later, I think, Elizabeth was born again. So the reincarnation in Nanatsu no Taizai happens quick time, alright? Meliodas' reincarnation, on the other hand, it took like a few months, was it, or was it a few years? I don't know exactly how long it was, but it was definitely quite longer than a few days. So the fact that they were reincarnated, Mavis and Zeref, I don't mind that. I'm cushy with that. You know what? No one dies in Fairy Tail, so it's okay. But the fact that they reincarnated a year later and they're already at the same freaking age they were when they basically died in terms of their original age. So Mavis is like however old she was before she was cursed with the curse of Ankh-Sharem. Same with Zeref. They're already at that age again. So I was like, what the fuck? We don't need to see this. And then there's like their reincarnations are kind of getting all a little bit cuddly and shit. And they're basically talking to each other. They're both kind of like fanboys, fangirls of Lucy, so they just happen to sneak in and shit. And I was like, really, we didn't need this interaction. I mean, like, I know this is meant to be like an endearing and cheery chapter, but we didn't need this interaction. We've seen what they are to each other. We've seen how much they love each other and all that shit. We didn't need to see it again. You didn't need to stuff it down our throats, Hiromashima. I'm just saying. So then we get Lucy waking up in her room. After the whole party, she got knocked out. She can't take alcohol very well, so that was actually pretty good. And then Lucy wakes up in her room. Natsu's like, yeah, let's go do some shit. She reminisces about all the shit that they've gone through, and she starts crying for some random ass reason. She hugs Natsu, saying, you know, if you weren't here, I wouldn't be anything. And he's all like, yeah, that's some good shit, but I don't give it. Let's go do our thing. Let's go work. So he doesn't really give a shit. I would have actually liked to have seen a development between Natsu and Lucy. I mean, that thing's been going since the first freaking chapter, and that's the only one that didn't really develop into anything, the only relationship. And Natsu is being made to look like more of an idiot than he actually is. Natsu knows 100% that Lucy has feelings for him, and he defo has feelings for her, so freaking develop that shit. I mean, this is the chapter to do it in. And that's the one thing I thought, okay, out of all of them, that would be the one you want to develop, you know? So it turns out that they're going on a 100-year quest. It's going to be Wendy, Gray, Happy, Urza, Natsu, and Lucy. They're going to go on a 100-year quest, and that's one of those quests where it's been available for 100 years, but no one's been able to complete it. I'm not sure if it actually takes 100 years to do it. I doubt it takes 100 years to do, because then you wouldn't be able to do it unless you were freaking immortal. So it's just one of those ones which has been available for 100 years, and they're going to go and kick some ass and do it. Now, these guys are, each of them, Gray, even Lucy now, Urza, Wendy, Natsu, they're all friggin' next level strong. I mean, all of them could at least Natsu and Gray and Urza could put up a fight with Gildarts at this moment in time, especially Natsu and Urza. and Gray actually with his whole demon slaying thing. So they can all put up at least a decent fight with Gildarts at the moment. He'd probably beat them all in the end. But the fact that they're all able to at least challenge him suggests that they're going to kick ass on this 100-year quest. So that's the end of the chapter, and that's the end of Fairy Tail. And like I said, for me, the whole thing with Fairy, this is going to be a long review because this is the last chapter. So the whole thing with Fairy Tail for me, and I've been reading it for years now. I said at the beginning, around, it's got to be within the ballpark of 8 to 10 years. So I've been with it almost since day one. But the whole thing with Fairy Tail was that the setup was good. The characterization, we had good characters, their individual traits were good, they were likable, they had some awesome powers, and so on and so on. So the characters were good. I liked the characters when we were first introduced to them, but as we went on, we started hating certain characters because of how Hiro Mashima told the story of how he spewed it all out. But we started hating Urza. Urza could have been a much more likable character had she not been spewing all that shit about friendship is what fuels me, friendship is what feeds me, I don't need to eat for 3 weeks, friendship will keep me going, all that shit. I'm just like, Urza became a hateable character for me. I hated Urza at the end because of Hiro Mashima's bad development of her and because of his whole friendship thing. I mean, like, I understand friendship is important, that's the message he's trying to get across, it's meant to be a happy manga, but bitch please, I mean, you gotta keep it serious a little bit. So then the world that was developed as well was the world was a cool place because it was a magical world, and you have different worlds in this magical world. You have Edolas and all that shit. You have different continents and all that stuff. It was a world where the appearance of things such as like dragons and maybe even vampires, werewolves, all that shit could have happened, and it all could have made it more interesting. So the possibility of all those things happening made the manga more interesting just as a whole. So we had a very good first half of the story with this entire crew, with their whole Natsu, Lucy and all them. It was very good. I mean, through the Lullaby arc, Oration Seas, all that, the whole Fairy Tail arc against each other, where Laxus was a biatch. The whole when we first meet Gajeel and all that, and they're against that other Dark Guild. All that stuff was toasty. All that stuff was good. So a good first half of the story. So it was right after the Grand Magic Games, I think, where a lot of people started falling off and things went downhill, and they went downhill fast. But for me, Fairy Tail started getting bad in Edolas. So, you know, in the alternate dimension, in the alternate world, where they had all their Edolas cells and stuff like that. So Edolas, is it called Edolas? I don't know. I think it's called Edolas. Yeah, Edolas. Yeah, when they go through the anime and they go into that other world and they meet their Edolas halves, that's where it started getting bad. That's where things were started getting cringy. When Natsu and the other Dragon Slayers were like, we'll use up our reserves for tomorrow's magic and shit. I'm like, bitch, how you gonna grab tomorrow's reserves? They ain't here yet. But yeah, so that was all a bit bullshit. Edolas is where it started getting bad for me, and then the bullshit. Actually, this is an important point I need to make. The bullshit, the ass pulls, the friendship speeches, and the friendship power-ups, they were always there. So for people who were like, the first half, like I just said, the first half was good. Yeah, the first half was good, but all this bullshittery was always there. It was all there, but it was littered across the manga in small bits and pieces. So we forgave it when it did come. But the reason why the manga was so hated in this last half, I think definitely since the Grand Magic Games, but for me, Edolas was bad. I think the arc after that was okay, and then it was actually good, and then the arcs after that were just bad again. But the last few arcs, they've just been spewing all that friendship shit, the bullshit, ass pulls, all that kind of stuff. It's just been everywhere. So that's why the last half has been especially bad, because the first half, we forgave that stuff because it was good. And I think the Tower of Heaven arc, that was beast. That Tower of Heaven arc was so good. We got to see Natsu get his ass kicked. We got to see Natsu kick some ass. We got to see Urza basically in a position where she didn't want to fight so much, and then she kicked some ass. She got her ass kicked. We got to see everyone really go tooth and nail. Just is it tooth and nail? I think it's tooth and claw. The tooth and nail even. Yeah, tooth and nail. They were just kicking some ass, and they were getting their asses kicked. And then Natsu ate the. He ate. Oh, my laptop's about to die. But Natsu ate the. Oh, lacrima, or was it? No, he ate the Ethereum thing. I think it was. And he got that power up and everything. So I thought that was a really good arc. But from, like I said, from the Grand Magic Games onwards, it was just all the friendship shit was everywhere. So that's what made it bad. So like I said in the beginning, I'll miss Fairy Tail. I've been reading it for years. I mean, it's just been there for a long time, and it's been there for me to continuously read, even, you know, in good times, bad times, everything. So thank you, Manga Stream, for everything you guys have done, and I'd like to thank Hiro Mashima. But now it's on to bigger and better things, and now that Fairy Tail is out of my scope of mangas, I'm gonna move on to other things. So this is gonna free me up some space, and I'd like you guys to stay tuned and see what I do next. So see you guys in a bit. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm gonna release my Nanatsu no Taizai review in a few hours, so be ready for that, and I'll see you guys in a bit.